We were just doing a reading, page 511. We got cut off because of the space, so I started a new one. Take a few breaths. Thank you. You're welcome. We will start on page 510. The Gentiles filled the temple with debauchery and revelry. They amused themselves with prostitutes and had intercourse with women, even in the sacred court. They also brought into the temple things that were forbidden, so the altar was covered with abominable offerings prohibited by the laws. Abolition of the law. A man could not keep the Sabbath or celebrate the traditional feast, nor even admit that he was a Jew. Moreover, at the monthly celebration of the king's birthday, the Jews had, from bitter necessity, to partake of the sacrifices, and when the festival of Dionysus was celebrated, they were compelled to march in his procession wearing wreaths of ivy. At the suggestion of the citizens of Ptolemais, a decree was issued ordering the neighboring Greek cities to act in the same way against the Jews, oblige them to partake of the sacrifices, and put to death those who would not consent to adopt to customs of the Greeks. It was obvious, therefore, that disaster impended. Thus, 2 women who were arrested for having circumcised their children were publicly paraded about the city with their babies hanging at their breasts and then thrown down from the top of the city wall. Jeez. Others who had for circumcising their children, so I guess they were not obliging to. Yeah. Thank goodness we are not so barbaric anymore. Others who had assembled in nearby caves to observe the Sabbath in secret were betrayed to Philip and all burned to death. In their respect for the holiness of that day, they had scruples about defending themselves. Purpose of divine judgment. Now, I beg those who read this book not to be disheartened by these misfortunes, but to consider that these chastisements were meant not for the ruin, but for the correction of our nation. It is, in fact, a sign of great kindness to punish sinners promptly instead of letting them go for long. Thus, in dealing with other nations, the Lord patiently waits until they reach the full measure of their sins before he punishes them. Now, with us, he has decided to deal differently. In order that he may not have to punish us more severely later, when our sins have reached their fullness, he never withdraws his mercy from us, although he disciplines us with misfortunes. He does not abandon his own people. Let these words suffice for recalling this truth. Without further ado, we must go on with our story. Martyrdom of Eleazar. And then goes into chapter 7, Martyrdom of a mother and her sons. Are you going to read that part in the other class? Good, because my voice, could you tell? Thank you. Yeah, maybe later. For sure, have some tea or something. Well, being able to smile if you're aching in some way or another, and they say that's part of life. There's always something to ache about or think about that could make you sad or pain you. You know, they say just the act of smiling, the muscles and stuff that you use releases endorphins or something. Thank you. Yeah, we'll maybe read some more later. We're going to make some soup. That or a creamy broccoli sauce made with a dairy-free sauce with some chickpea pasta and peas. Sounds good.